there. You're listening to Those Real Estate Brothers podcast, where Joseph and Jared share what they know in real estate and all things local, including local restaurants, businesses, and cool stuff. Which brother is more interesting? Well, you're about to find out.
What's going on?
What's up?
You know, I feel like all the cool podcasts have a very short intro.
You know, I think whatever intro you have, it's going to get annoying after about 4 of these.
You ever listen to Ed Milet?
No.
He said he hired this like old school sports announcer.
That's awesome.
Who all he says is, "This is the Ed Milet show." And he was talking about a podcast how he couldn't pronounce his name correct, but he liked the voice so much that he left it because it's actually Milet.
So I have a professional announcer. The guy is a professional sports announcer, newsreader, semi-famous. I mean, he's on cable TV, and he does a lot of serious stuff now. And he actually interviewed with us thinking about becoming a realtor when a station was closing. He was getting, I suppose, a little tired of having to change. It seems like those guys float around from company to company. And he came to one of our career nights, and we spoke to him. I spoke to him about what a career in real estate. Turned out it wasn't the right move for him, and he stuck with what he was doing. But I wonder, maybe we should reach out to him. I'll see if he'll record us a quick. This is the Real Estate Brothers podcast.
This is the Real Estate Brothers.
His
podcast.
voice isn't that deep, but it is a good radio voice.
What makes a professional announcer now? Are we professional announcers?
No, I think you'd have to announce other people to be a professional. Also, I think you're supposed to get paid for the actual announcing.
All right.
So if you're enjoying our podcast, you got to buy a house from us. Otherwise, we're not wasting our time.
We're 10 plus episodes in.
Yep.
And we're constantly trying to tweak things. So I think we are going to change our intro eventually.
Change the intro. We're eventually going to get a clock we keep talking about. I think it was my job to order it. I forgot. But we mentioned new agents, right? Or an agent that somebody was thinking about becoming an agent. And we're hearing a lot about that, right? A lot of people now seem to be interested in real estate. They think maybe it's a better time to get in. And whether that's true or not, that might be the presumption. But also, NAR is telling us a lot of agents might be leaving the business. So it seems like agent and offices are in a bit of a state of flux right now. So what should a new agent do? What should experienced agents do? What are you thinking?
Well, just to talk about how agents might be leaving the industry, I think there's 2 parts to that. You mentioned in a prior podcast how the average age of real estate agents are pretty high in comparison to some other industries. And there's a little frustration, right? There's markets that are changing. It's a different market than it was 2 years ago. And I think people in general, but also our industry, there's quite a few people that get their real estate licenses that don't want to work very hard. I think humans in general don't want to work very hard. Or at all. So it was great when their, friends and family were moving up, downsizing, and just, doing a lot of activity. But that's coming to an end, I think. It has come to an end. It
was sort of easy pickings, right? You could have been terrible at your job, gave horrible customer service, and you could have stumbled on a few transactions still just because of how crazy things were. So now we're going to be left with really what real estate is supposed to be, which is a process that a trusted professional and educator can guide you through, almost like a project manager, from A to Z, getting you the results you want through education, through perseverance, so that you got the house or you got the sale that you needed, the end result was what you wanted and you were happy at the end, versus something super transactional, which is kind of how real estate was last year, which wasn't all that different than going to Walmart, beating through the crowd, buying a TV, paying for it, bringing it home, and realizing it didn't have all the features you wanted. So that transactional real estate only happens in those gold rush markets. A lot of agents felt like they were in a gold rush. We had people coming out of retirement in the mortgage business and the real estate business to get back into it because, like, well, I don't have to do anything. I could just hang my license on the wall and show some houses or take some listings and make a bunch of money. That's not the case anymore. We're back to what real estate needs to be a profession, which is way more like a financial planner than a quick sale. So we're getting back to that. Not all those agents really are prepared or interested in doing all that hard work.
We say it all the time that the professional, right? Maybe they were college educated, but the person working in business that work off checklists, has a supervisor or boss they have to answer to on what they did, that person could crush real estate, like totally crush it, because they work off checklists. They know they have to do activities. Our industry as a whole did not have those people. Those it's not looked at as a stepping stone to becoming a real estate agent, right? That profession always was that, there's a cliche,
second chance career,
pretty much, or somebody that a fallback, or looking for freedom with time. If there's somebody out there that is looking to get a real estate license and ready to work full time and do the things that, our industry hasn't changed, right? The training manuals 30 years ago look very similar to the training manuals now. And the people that treat it like a business do really well. And it's not that hard to do a little extra and just take off well above 80% of the agents here.
I have a friend. He was worked in town and sanitation, and he rose through the ranks, got promoted pretty quick. I said, "Hey, how'd you get promoted? Like, you must be one of the youngest foreman, supervisors, whatever his title was." He goes, "The way to do that is show up to work, don't create any problems for your boss, do what you're supposed to do, get the job done, and don't come to work drunk. And if you do all that, you're going to get promoted, because so many of the other guys are getting in trouble, not doing the right thing, getting caught doing something wrong, so they'll never get promoted." And with real estate, it's kind of the same thing. Don't drink too much. Some of these open houses you go, the agent stinks like the night before. But besides that, have checklists, have systems, do the right thing. Treat it like a business. Treat it like a profession, not like a quick hit sales job. And if you treat it like a profession, you do the things you should be doing, you will rise to the top. You will become part of the 10% of agents that are doing 90% of the business. Because the other 90%, imagine this industry. Hey, we're going to hire you. We're going to bring you in. We're going to let you sell real estate. You get a license. I don't actually have any faith that you're going to do the job well, so we're not going to pay you a salary. But if you actually ever close anything, I'll give you a part of it. I'll give you a commission. So historically, a lot of brokers do look at their salespeople as virtually unemployable, so let's make them a salesperson. And I know we do that very different. We look for professional people we can teach real estate to, so that they have those systems, checklists, and processes to be a successful salesperson and find their financial security, because I need to pay my bills. And I know you need to pay your bills. We got kids, we got wives, we got vacations, we got mortgages. And I know the other people we bring in have that same financial pressure. So if it's important for me and for you to make sure we're financially secure so we could afford to live in Long Island, I don't know how these other brokers sleep at night, but I need to bring people in knowing we're going to give them the chance and the probability to succeed so they could pay their bills to live on Long Island. And that's the difference, right? You need to be an agent that is on purposeful, that has those systems, that treats it like a profession. And then those are the ones that will stick around even when the business goes back to that more of a process and not so transactional.
It's like a handyman or a contractor, right? Mm-hmm. There's a ton of handymen in our industry, right? Just a solo agent who doesn't really have any coaching, doesn't really have a broker that's providing any training, and they get a job or two, and the client is sort of happy with it, but probably wouldn't refer. And then you have that real estate agent who's the contractor. They take their business super seriously. They're doing their marketing. They're doing their prospecting. When they do have a service, a client, that their service is unmatched, and they're getting repeat business. So we have a ton of handymen, but we want the contractor. We want somebody that wants to grow and get better.
And we even see that with contractors, right? There's some of them, you see them on TV. They're really big. They're very specific in the type of work they do. They do marketing. They're happy to tell people what they do. They must be doing a good job. And by the way, they make more money. They're more expensive than that sub-level contractor, and they're certainly way more expensive than the handyman who does plumbing, electric, sheetrock, etc., and drives around in that. They all drive minivans. I don't know why. So who's going to make more money in real estate? The agent that says, okay, I know what we're trying to accomplish. You've explained that to me. This is the way I understand it. Here's how we're able to get that done. Here's why it's so important to you that you hire me to make this happen for you. Here's what's going to happen when we're all done. And if any step of the way, anything's going sideways, I know how to handle it. That agent's going to be way more successful, way more financially secure for them and their clients in order to Well, then the handyman agent driving around in the beat up minivan with every set of tools he's ever owned in the back. And again, being in a brokerage that can teach you to be the big time contractor versus that crazy skittish handyman that running around, it's really important because it does start with the broker. Brokers break out into two camps. We're not the only brokerage shop that does a good job for new agents. There are others on Long Island, I'm sure. But we do break down into two camps. One, hey, go over there, call everybody you know. Maybe you find some business. If you do, then bother me by letting me know, and I'll try to help you with it. Versus, hey, before you start doing anything, let's make sure you know what you're talking about. Make sure you know the rules. Make sure you know how to be successful. Make sure you know how to use our systems so that when you get a listing, you're brand new. You're not going to know everything, but our system has been perfected in such a way that you can get that friend of yours or that stranger who trusted you to be their client, to be a client of yours, from A to Z, ensuring that client's financial success, because if you want that, you need to provide it for other people, and therefore becoming that successful agent.
Nothing gives me more joy when we hear the stories of agents or even clients directly where they say, your presentation was unbelievable. It was so much better than the other people that they interviewed, and they should get schooled by our systems and our presentations. I mean, it's a really good feeling because we can wake up at night, wake up in the morning knowing we're given the tools and resources that not only help our agents, but help our agents give a better service, better client experience to the seller or buyer.
And by doing that, you don't wake up at night at 2 a.m. going, oh my God, I have to face so-and-so tomorrow. Or you're at the supermarket. I use this example a lot. And you're in the frozen food section. You got all your food in your cart and you see that client at the other end. You go, oh, I can't face this person right now. They hate me. And you bail on the cart and you walk out of Juntas and straight to your car. You don't want to work for a company that's going to set you up to do that. I find it kind of sad that there's so many really good people who really do have the personal tools to be successful in real estate. And that means a lot of different things to a lot of different agents. Some agents, that's, hey, I want to do 6 a year because that leaves me plenty of time to be a grandmother, a grandfather, a mom or dad, whatever. Or I need to do 12 a year in order to make sure I hit my numbers. Whatever that means, a lot of those people could have been successful in real estate, had freedom over their schedule, had the ability to go to the school events or the vacations or whatever it is they needed to do, but they just never got the right direction. So they come in for 6 months. When the real estate dues are due again in October, what ends up happening to those agents?
Yeah, so we see the biggest drop in our agent count during dues time. Because, if you're an agent doing 0 deals a year, are you going to pay those dues? Potentially some people do because they have hopes on getting on track the next year, but no one's willingly throwing $600-700 down the toilet every single year.
No, and you really need to be doing, more than one a year for it to be worth your while. I'm sure a lot of handymen that end up going to take jobs with other companies, either a job went bad and they didn't make any money and now they need the money, or it's when their expensive tool breaks down. My minivan broke down. I can't afford to buy another minivan. I haven't been making enough money. I'm going to have to take a job. My table saw, whatever. It's the same at real estate. The only expense that's sort of a fixed expense you have in real estate are those real estate dues. So that every October, and the bad companies because you look at
there's fixed expenses elsewhere. And there's lots of different brokerages. There's lots of different splits. And
well, that's true.
We got a buddy in Arkansas that says you don't pay your bills with splits, you pay it with money.
Yep.
So for those newer agents, sometimes you want to have all the tools, all the resources, and the material, right? I don't want to lay out $600-700 a month minimum when I'm brand new in the industry. Right. I don't care if I'm getting 100%.
Because you already have to do some dues and some training and whatever. All right, some business cards. Oh, I got to buy signs. Oh, I have to, put an ad in the paper. I have to send postcards. So it's really important, and it's part of what we do, that new agents, when they come aboard and they get started, that they already have access to all the tools and systems.
You think a seller wants to hear, yeah, Joseph, I'm going to hire you. And then you say, well, I'm sorry, but we have to take cell phone pictures because I don't really have the ability to pay for professional photos.
Look, it's why we require professional photos. We lay out, we send postcards, because if you're going to tell the seller, hey, this is important for us to get your house sold, and then you're not going to do it, it's not just a bad reflection on that agent. it's a bad reflection on every other agent in that office. It's a bad reflection on the office, the brokers, the managers. So the next time I go to your friend's house to try to get their listing, and they say we're going to send out, postcards to neighborhood homes, we're going to do professional photos and a floor plan, and they're like, well, yeah, but so-and-so never got any of that. That's a problem. So it's why we do that on an office level. But we want new agents to have all the tools and systems right from the beginning. We know it could be difficult in the beginning, with cash flow. So we need to make sure that's not a barrier for our agents to do good work, and we include it. Whereas a lot of other offices, you take that listing, you could be a brand new agent running on fumes financially, and photos, the sign, the open house signs, the promotional materials, that could run you $1,000 up front sometimes. It's certainly in some offices more. And you might not have the money to do it. Are you going to turn down that listing? And that's sometimes when you see they bring in another agent to try to cover some, hey, I have this listing, I can't afford to take it. Would you lay out the money and we could split it? They're giving up a ton of money. And that's back to your point with splits. You might be on a higher split, but if you have to share the listings with another agent to afford to take the listing, you're making a third. You're way less than what a traditional brokerage can do for you, what we can do.
What do you think of the team model? I think the team model, there's a place for it. I think you're going to see less and less of it over the next several years. It's kind of interesting if you're brand new, and I understand why a brand new agent might want to get into a team. Historically, a lot of team dynamics, they try to provide leads. But geez, you're giving up a tremendous amount of money. You're better off trying to find a brokerage just that has good training and has a team type structure.
Part of the reason teams are sometimes looked poorly on is because there's so many bad teams. We've been through this where agents.
Well, they're not real teams.
They're
That's
not
why.
teams. There's somebody just trying to eat off you, right? There's somebody who's not making enough money on their own sales. So they say, how can I make more money because I'm not selling enough?
Or they're just trying to build an empire prior to them being ready.
Well, and a lot of times that's what it is. So I need to make $150,000 to be my, the sole breadwinner in my house. I'm only making 85. How could I bridge the gap? Well, there's two ways. You could be better at your job, or what a lot of offices do, and they kind of encourage this, hey, be a team leader. Go get 5 agents, and if all 5 of those agents sell, half a house a month, you'll reach your $150,000. The problem is that agent isn't really ready. They can't really give enough support to their team members because they haven't grown up yet. They're still kind of new in their own career, and they're just siphoning off money from those lower agents. And those lower agents are going to cycle through. You see this in these big offices with a lot of teams where that bottom roster is just churning. Yeah. Because if I come to work under a bad team, I'm going to probably, I don't care what the numbers look like on paper, here's what it breaks down to. You're going to make a third of your commissions. The team leader is going to make like another third or 40%, and then the office gets the rest. So you're making like a third of the money. And if they can't feed you with like 3 closings a month, you're going to be working really hard and not making enough money. That might work if it's a good functioning team.
Well, we know a few good teams that run it as a team. But there's so many bad ones. Just like, our profession of brokers, there's so many bad ones out there.
So with a good team, you have a lot of training, a lot of support, a lot of leads. What we feel is, why isn't the office doing that? And the reason teams happened is because over the years, too many brokers, and I call that the silver-haired tsunami. Like, I'm in the last 10 years of my career. Do I really want to keep working this hard? A lot of brokers just sort of stopped providing support, leads, and training. But they knew they needed to still have that. So they said, okay, you build your own teams. You provide the support and training. I'll just take a little piece. You don't have to bother renting an office and paying the broker dues. So by the office not providing those leads, the support, the training, the tools, like a My Wire powered by KV Core, the teams would do that. And if it's a good functioning team, they have KV Core, they have systems, they have stuff you could order, and they have leads, and it will work. With us, why are we outsourcing that to somebody else? If we believe that all our sellers should get a similar experience, all our buyers should get a similar experience, we can't have 5 different companies operating 5 different ways in one office. So we'll provide the leads. we'll provide the training, we'll provide the support, and run our entire office like a team. So even our top producers are receiving that same support and those same leads that maybe a newbie is getting.
With the branding, I mean, our business
Right.
cards, the agent's name is huge. It's got characteristics. I mean, the logo is kind of a small part of the business card.
I'm not super vain, but I don't think I could ever work for one of those teams that requires the team lead's name over and above mine everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, that I work for the blah, blah, blah team. Oh, by the way, my name is Joe. You know, like their signs are the blah, blah team. The agent might not even have their information. The team leader's name is on the listing. The team leader's name is on the,
And I know
on the sign.
a lot of teams, again, there might be other ones that are different, but a lot of teams, you join my team and I set you into this farming area, right? I take care of a lot of the marketing expenses, but you take care of some of them. And you're farming an area for 6-8 months. You're starting to get some business from it. And you want to transition into getting off that team and working on your own. That farm's not yours.
Now you lose it.
You lose it. So, I mean, right there, you spend all this time trying to grow your business with a team, and you're under a team. You're kind of starting from scratch the second you get out.
It's something we teach our agents, like have a Gmail account. You
Brand
should,
yourself.
You could forward to your Gmail account. Like you want to have control of your information. It's crazy to me. If the only reason you're going to stay here is because we own your database, that's not making for a great relationship. We're not going to all be so happy working together. It's got to work for everyone. So it was one of the reasons when Weichert purchased KV Core, they rebranded as My Weichert. It's our own suite of products. The data's portable. You own that. You own those leads. Those are yours. If you generated them.
And an admin has no access to those leads, that information.
No. So it's really, really important that you control that. But when you work for a team lead, you could bring your mother's file into the office. You're helping your mother buy a house, your mother sell a house. The team leader owns that information, owns that lead, owns the neighborhood that house was in. And it really becomes almost like an unofficial non-compete agreement where you're stuck. You lose everything if you have to change. So they could keep you on those lower splits and just keep churning you out.
I think the grass is always greener, but sometimes it is due for a change. And I think any agent that's looking to change, just like a seller, just like a buyer, they should interview 2 to 3 people, 2 to 3 brokers. I think any more than 3 is a mistake because then you just get confused. But do your research.
Then your phone's ringing too much. You can't make any decisions.
Yeah, right. Do your research. Maybe pick your top 2. Go interview. Be prepared for the questions. I think the experienced agent, meaning even if you're only a year in, knows what questions to ask. But I think Google provides you with questions you can ask.
If you go to Google and you write questions to ask when interviewing a real estate broker, there's like 15 questions. So what we do here, we actually printed that out. Well, we saved it to a Word document and answered all the questions so we could just hand it over and really get down to business. Like, okay, here's all the answers to that. Let's not worry about those questions because sometimes they will come in and they start reading the Google questions. Here's the info. Take that home and read it. That's all in your favor. Let's talk more about what you're trying to accomplish, what your goals are, because they got to align together. If you come in and say, listen, my goal is to barely work, not really do a good job and make some money doing it, we're not gonna mesh. If you come in and say, look, I need to make a certain amount of money to live, I want to also work where I live, so I need to do that in a respectful, professional way so that I could keep going to my kids' baseball games in a neighborhood I sell real estate. That's us. That's what we do. So we know that's going to align. And if your goals align with my goals and vice versa, and you have the personal traits and skills that you need for real estate, we're all going to make a lot of money. The rest of the stuff isn't going to matter. It's making sure we're all trying to get to the same place and we both buy into each other.
So this is our podcast. I do not have to ask to provide a plug. So if somebody is interested in interviewing with us, go to jointeamweichert.com, call 516-845-4700.
Now you sound like a professional announcer.
And you'll get straight answers, whether it's a good fit or not. You'll decide, we'll decide, but you're going to get straight answers. You're going to get a real clear idea of what it's like to work here, how the commission splits work, what the opportunities are for you. And you walk out here kind of not having any questions or doubts.
We do. We also do the career nights, Tuesday nights at 5. People come in. We go through a presentation. here's the information you need, so that when you leave that career night, you're going to have a pretty good idea. What does a real estate agent do on a day-to-day basis? What am I going to do on a day-to-day basis? Can I fit this in with another career or other responsibilities? And the way I say it is all the information you need to know to decide, hey, I think real estate's right for me, or I'm so glad I came to this, came and met with you guys, because this is definitely not for me. At least you kind of know on both sides, because I think there are really two types of people in the world: people with a real estate license and people who are thinking about getting a real estate license. And obviously that's from my seat, that's my perspective. But so many people have that. Do I want to be an agent? Is that something I could do? Would that be fun? Would that be a good thing for me to do? But they don't know the information, so it's like, I don't know. And I meet with people at that career night, and they say, oh, I've been thinking about this for 10 years, and I finally got your email. I was like, well, I have no more excuses not to find out. They don't all become agents. But for 10 years, you were curious about something, and now you're not. You know it wasn't for you, or it was. So it's exciting when people say, hey, this checked a lot of boxes, I'm going forward. Knowing that we're going to help them get where they need to go, because we talked about it before Weichert, before we had these tools and systems in place. We could have had a best friend. We had one of our best friends. Hey, I want to be a real estate agent. Great. I think it's a great career. You could pay your bills. You have freedom over your schedule. You could have, time to do things with your family. Where are you going to go work? Because we knew it wasn't going to be for us. We didn't have that. I could never, ever, ever bring an agent in and have to see them struggling, drowning at their desk, not knowing how to help them. So that was the first thing. Same philosophy for the agents. You got to first know how to do it before you start doing it.
So career night every Tuesday. It's currently at 5 p.m. Times change sometimes, but it's going to be 5 p.m. for a while. So if you are interested, again, go to jointeamweichert.com or at 516-845-4700 and RSVP. Any last thoughts?
Anything you like locally? What have you been doing? We just got back from Puerto Rico, so that was a lot of fun.
I am eating breakfast. So I listen to a podcast because that's what I do now. And I am interested in getting better gut health. And the podcast talked about how gut health is kind of connected with overall health. So I'm going to eat breakfast for a couple of weeks, see how that goes. So that's what I'm doing.
All right. Where'd you get breakfast? I just went to back in time, Nutty Irishman. I got some food over there at the recovery room. It was amazing. Chef Tina from Culinary Institute graduate, and got a quick little breakfast. So
I'm 2 days in. I went to the local grocery store, got some avocados. So I'm doing avocados and 2 poached eggs, and I'm 2 days in. Yesterday I got home, and I wasn't hungry. I didn't eat at night. So
there you go.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to Those Real Estate Brothers with Joseph and Jared. Subscribe now to get updates on future episodes, and please share it with others. Want to connect? Message us on Google, Facebook, Instagram, or text. We'll see you next time. And remember to always work hard and be nice.